Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Varadari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Varadari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Nachari Yamuna Tira Nachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya So today we'll be studying Srimad Bhagavatam, the ripened fruit of Vedic wisdom. And today we'll start from chapter 26 and text 52. Tataha tena anuvidhebhyaha yuktebhyaha andam achetanam uthitam purushaha yasmat udattishtat yasau virat tatastena nuvidebhyo yuktebhyondam achetanam uthitam purusho yasmad udattishtat asau virat tatastena nuvidebhyo yuktebhyondam achetanam uthitam purusho yasmad udattishtat asau virat Tatastenanuvidyebhyo yuktebhyondam uchetanam uthitam purusho.
Tastenavuvidyebhyo Yuktebhyom Dhammachetanam Titam Purusho Yasmat
Udatishta Sauvirat
Tatastenanuvidyebhyo
Tatastenanuvidyebhyo
Yuktebhyom Dhammachetanam
Yuktebhyondam
Titam Purusho Yasmat
Titam Purusho Yas.
Okay, Maharaj.
Tastenanuvidebhyo
Tastenanuvidyebhyo
yuktebhyo dhammachetanam
Yuktebhyom Dhammachetanam
utitam purusho yasmat
Titam Purusho Yasmat
udatishtat asovirat.
Udatishthara Salvirat
Tatastenanuvidyebhyo
Tastenanuvidyebhyo
yuktebhyo dhammachetanam
Yuktebhyom Dhammachetanam
uditam purusho yasmad
Utitam Purusho Yasmat
udatishtat asalvirat.
Udatishthara Salvirat.
Video Vayo Tataste
Yuktebhyom Dhammachetanam Utitam Purusho Yasmat Udatishthara Salvirat. Okay, online chanters.
ततस्तेनानुविद्येभ्यो
Tastenanuvidyebhyo
युक्तेभ्योऽण्डमचेतनम्
Yuktebhyom Dhammachetanam
उत्थितं पुरुषो यस्मात्
Utitam Purusho Yasmat
उद उदतिष्ठ दशो विराट्.
Udatishthara Salvirat. Anyone else?
ततस्तेनानुविद्येभ्यो
Tastenanuvidyebhyo
युक्तेभ्यो अण्डं चेतनम्
Yuktebhyom Dhammachetanam
उत्थितं पुरुषो यस्मात्
Uttitam Purusho Yasmat
पुरतिष्ठत् असौ विराट्.
Udatishthara Salvirat.
So, Wednesday or Thursday, I missed the Bhagavatam class. So I think Bhakti Caleb was, and the devotees were doing a reading. So where did we get to at that point? There was a long purport, wasn't it?
Yeah, we read this one, 52.
Okay, so we chanted this verse. We can hear the we can hear the word for word on this and the translation, and then we'll go on. And we'll go to past this to text 53. Sorry about that, devotees. So, tataha, then, tena, by the Lord, anuvidhebhyaha, from these 7 principles roused into activity. Yuktebhyaha, united. Andam, an egg. Achetanam, unintelligent. Uttitam, a rose. Purushaha, cosmic being. Yasmat, from which. Udattishtat, appeared. Asau, that. Virat, celebrated. Translation. From these 7 principles, roused into activity and united by the presence of the Lord, an unintelligent egg arose, from which appeared the celebrated cosmic being. Right, so these 7, so we read this purport yesterday? And the next one, okay. So let's go to the next text and we'll read the translation for text 52. This universal egg, or the universe in the shape of an egg, is called the manifestation of material energy. Its layers of water, air, fire, sky, ego, and Mahatattva increase in thickness one after another. Each layer is 10 times bigger than the previous one, and the final outside layer is covered by Pradhana. Within this egg is the universal form of Lord Hare, of whose body the 14 planetary systems are parts. Okay, so then text 53. Would anybody like to review this one again? You discussed it? Okay. Text 53. Call and response. Hiranmayadandakoshad Uthaya salile shayat Tam avishya mahadevo Bahudha nirbibedakam. Hiranmayat, golden. Andakoshat, from the egg. Udhaya, arising. Salile, on the water. Sayat, living, lying. Tam, in it. Avishya, having entered. Mahadevaha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bahudha, in many ways. Nirbibeda, divided. Come, apertures. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Virat Purusha, situated himself in that golden egg which was lying on the water, and he divided it into many departments. Text 54. Niravidyatasya Nirapidyatasya pratatmam. Nirapidyatasya pratatram. Mukam bhani tato bhavat. Vanya varnir ato nase. Prano to gnana etayo. First of all, a mouth appeared in him, and then came forth the organ of speech, and with it the god of fire, the deity who presides over that organ. Then a pair of nostrils appeared, and in them appeared the olfactory sense, as well as prana, the vital air. Purport. With the manifestation of speech, fire also became manifested. And with the manifestation of nostrils, the vital air, the breathing process, and the sense of smell also became manifested. So I'll just show an image here, and then we'll continue reading. So this is the creation, or this is the entering of Garbhodakashayi Vishnu into the universe, which was called Hiranmaya, a golden egg. Hiranmaya, the golden Andakoshad, Anda. So this Anda word means egg. So we say Brahmanda. Brahmanda means like the egg-shaped universe. So all the living entities, the jivas, are wandering around this Brahmanda, and we are doing so because the Lord's arrangement, He has entered into it. So let's see here. Garbho Daka Shayi Vishnu ISKCON. Okay? So each one of these this is a famous one here. Oops. Okay, let's see. So here is Mahavishnu, or Karana Dakashayi. So it means that he's lying in the Karana Daka ocean, this Karana Daka ocean, or Karana ocean, the causal ocean. And each one of these golden eggs is actually emanating from him. And inside, right, then he manifests this Virat Purusha. So the Virat Purusha, or the universal body of the Supreme Lord, it's a type of a it's stated in the other verses, text 51, it's stated, Udattishta Rasal Virat, that celebrated form actually appeared within the egg. Rather. Yeah. From that egg appeared this cosmic being. So this is actually the Lord, right, being inside of the egg is the cause of the universal creation. So that's pretty much what we're hearing about, and we're hearing about all the details of that creation, all the intricacies. The most recent text we read was about the mouth. And the mouth is connected with speech and with the god of fire, right? So Agni Dev is actually connected with fire and speech. Of course, Agni means fire, but speech. And then the nostrils come, right? The air is connected with the nostrils. Krishna says he is the ingoing and outgoing breath, and by which all the foods are digested. So we can see how air and fire are closely connected, because air is an essential portion or part of fire. When you want to stoke a fire, you use bellows. And you go. Or if you're trying to start a fire, then you have to blow on it very carefully. And then you have to fan the spark, very carefully. So fanning the spark is something that we're called to do by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And hearing about all this information about the Lord's creation is actually the means by which Kapila Dev is fanning the spark of devotion within his mother, Devahuti. So, some persons are inclined for this information, but the main thing is, what is Devahuti doing? She's getting this Mahat Seva. She's actually hearing from the great souls. And there's many verses which describe the glories of hearing as the primary means for liberation. And so what we hear from the spiritual master should be less of a concern than hearing itself. The idea is that whatever the spiritual master is pleased to explain to us, then we should be ready to hear that. Why? Because it's purifying our consciousness to submissively receive the message of Krishna, or of Krishna's creation, of Krishna's science. And Kapila Dev himself is the Supreme Lord. And so, who can be a better spiritual master than Kapila Dev, or than Krishna? And actually, Krishna himself says of all the sages, then I am actually Kapila. So he particularly, understands how much celebrated that incarnation is for his sage-like qualities. So anyway, now we're hearing, and this form of Mahavishnu, or Karanadakashayi Vishnu, he's lying in the causal ocean, and from his pores are emanating the Brahmandas. So there's so many universes that are emanating from his pores, right? Out of our pores, there is some perspiration, there is some, air. Like, our body is breathing. It's kind of, and germs come out of my pores, filthy things. But out of the Lord's pores are coming the material universes. So this is what makes him Vibhu, and we are only Anu. We are very small, and he is very great. So the Virat Purusha is not exactly the same as the other types of incarnations of Krishna, because the Virat Purusha is temporary. So this, like we talk about Virat Rupa, like in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna, he manifests his Virat Rupa. Now, this is actually meant to show that Krishna himself, he is not only the source of Vishnu, the four-handed form, but he is also the source of the universal creation, or vice versa. he shows he's the source of, he's the seat of Brahman. Brahmano hi pratishta aham. I am the seat of Brahman. All the energies are coming from myself. Now one can say, he himself is also Brahman. So really the Brahman is the supreme. But actually that's the purpose of the Bhagavad Gita, is Krishna showing, what is this Brahman? This Brahman is matter. This Brahman is, it's spirit, but it's manifested as matter temporarily, or maya, or illusion, right? But there's also the real thing, Sat. There's Asat and there's Sat. And Brahman is the source of both Sat and Asat. And Krishna is showing in the Bhagavad Gita, as we're seeing here, he himself is the cause of the Asat. He himself is the cause of the material manifestation. Right? So Krishna himself, he manifested this Mahavishnu and many other incarnations, and then eventually Mahavishnu. And then he manifested also the universes, and then Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, and he will also go inside of that, and he will be Kshirodakashayi Vishnu also. And then that Kshirodakashayi Vishnu will be within every atom of the creation, maintaining its form. How does form not collapse on itself? What if it was like a bubble? A bubble has a very thin wall, right? What is keeping the bubble from collapsing is the air. So you take a bubble, and the air will enter into that, and the soapy liquid will try to seal it up, because it's falling. It has a different weight. Like, you dip it in this circle, and it's being held on the circle because of the surface tension and all these things, right? It's like you put your finger in a glass of water, some of the water stays on your finger and makes a little drop. So the similar thing, you dip it for the bubble, but then you push some of the air through, right, into the film, and that goes out. And then the rest of the film closes up, right? So all of this is inconceivable, It really, of course we can conceive. That can be analyzed according to our limited human intelligence. But why such a creation was created, or how that was the conclusion that there should be these aspects of the material, that's because Krishna's will, right? That's Krishna's will. He likes all this stuff. Anyway, so the point I'm trying to make is, it's because of his presence within every single atom. He's managing the workings of every single atom simultaneously, so that it all works exactly to plan, and that you can actually analyze it, and by his grace you may come upon some rules that you can apply in every case. How else will you be able to apply some principles in every case, like we do with the laws of Newtonian physics and so on and so forth? And how is it that you take a step, right, and the floor holds you? How is that? Why is that? If you step on a quicksand or water, you will go in. But a different material, you will not, right? Who's making that arrangement? Who's controlling that? That's actually Krishna within every single atom as the Kshirodakashayi Vishnu. So that's a little bit about the manifestation here. And it was spoken about in the verse before, 52, that about the dimensions of the universe, right? There's water, air, fire, sky, ego, and Mahat Tattva. And each layer is 10 times greater than the last one. So that's actually shown here in another photo. Yes. So this is the universe here. So Govardhakashayi Vishnu is a form of Vishnu that is present in every universe and maintains the needs of each universe. So you can see here, these are the layers of the different elements: water, air, fire, sky, ego, and Mahat Tattva. And each one is 10 times larger. And that's why it's actually very difficult to penetrate these layers, right? And even yogis who are perfected in mystic material cities, they actually are practicing to transfer themselves through various substances. Just like, I cannot move outside of this form. I cannot do it. I can't get out. Why? Because I don't have that science. I don't have that ability to move myself out of this matter. You know? But at a certain point in yogic perfection, the yogi literally sends himself from the crown chakra to other destinations through the air and through the ether. And he actually goes to different planets. And a very powerful yogi can even do it in his self-same body, which is made out of temporary elements. He can move through the air in a way which is not normally possible. It's like, I can't move through this air. I have to push against the floor. Only then I can generate the force to push through the air. You know? I can't just move. I have to push. So that's very gross. That's a very gross level of potency. You know? I have to actually push against this, and it has to be strong enough to support my weight and move me that direction. You know? It's amazing. So the yogis, they can actually transport themselves. But to pierce through the coverings of the universe is very difficult. But what can do that? The sound of the Mahamantra. And if we tune our consciousness very, 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 very precisely to the spiritual sound, which is actually coming from the spiritual world. Right? Golokara Pramadana Harinama Sankirtana. This is what they do there in the spiritual world. They sing Krishna's glories together. And that sound of Harinam is actually descended. Kali Kale Namarupa Krishna avatar. There's this, in the Kali Yuga, Krishna is the avatar. Krishna's holy name, Namarupa. So anyway, if we tune our consciousness, then we can actually pierce through all these thick, impenetrable layers of the material universe and situate ourselves in the spiritual world. Well, those are some points. Thank you for tolerating me. Would anybody like to ask anything or mention any comments? Yes, Bhakti Caleb?
I was wondering if we have the desire to acquire knowledge. Obviously, we can just read endless amounts of books, but if we're chanting the Mahamantra and Krishna's Satchidananda, are we, like the example of the fire and the iron rod, by just chanting the Mahamantra, am I going to be more in that quality of knowledge?
Certainly. Yeah, it's stated that in the early parts of the Srimad Bhagavatam that by devotional service, by devotional service, service to Vasudev, then knowledge and detachment are manifested. And actually we hear in the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Shikshastakam that Vidya Vidhu Jivanam, that is the life of transcendental knowledge. The Hare Krishna Sankirtan, Sri Krishna Sankirtan is the life of transcendental knowledge. This is amazing. It is the essence of the essence, you know? And you could say that our personal practice of associating with the holy name is the essence of the essence of the essence. See, when we get together for kirtan, sankirtan, which is the glorification of Krishna's names or qualities, right? What do we bring? We bring our consciousness, you know? So if I'm over here in the kirtan, but I actually have materialistic consciousness, then I'm hoping to get purified myself by participating, and I shall participate even if I am contaminated. And if I don't, what hope is there for me? But one will say, okay, if one has practiced nicely individually his calling out to the Lord, then he brings that to the kirtan, and that consciousn's helps actually bring the kirtan to this concept of prem sankirtan, or pure glorification of the Lord's holy names. It means we do sankirtan just for pleasing Krishna, you know, as the pure devotees did, and in the house of Srivas Thakur and all over Nadia. And as soon as anybody associated with the kirtan party, they all became pure devotees. And then they went and did Prem Sankirtan in their towns and villages, and everyone they met became pure devotees. So that's amazing. That's like Srila Prabhupada, you know. And anyway, so knowledge will develop. And Prabhupada said, if you are philosophically inclined, we have volumes of books with no other purpose of knowledge than to encourage one to love Krishna. And how, why, when, what, everything. Any question about loving Krishna is the subject of Prabhupada's books. And Prabhupada has mentioned it. He mentioned it, that, you know, there is an ocean of such literatures. In addition to what we have presented ourselves just now, there's also an ocean of literatures by just not so long ago that the devotees have left for us. So knowledge, one's search for knowledge, he can apply that in this movement, you know, and he will be benefited unlimitedly. But search for mundane or attraction for mundane knowledge is a distraction. And it's one of the weeds that can creep up while we practice bhakti, is a desire for mundane knowledge. So therefore we don't refuse to gain knowledge seemingly mundane if it's been connected with Krishna's service. And that's why the spiritual master and the parampara system of service is so important, because I actually don't have anything to do but serve Krishna. But what does that service look like? Okay, it looks like early rising, being clean, and so on and so forth. So if I need to learn how to rise early, such mundane knowledge is not mundane because it's been connected with the order of the spiritual master and Krishna's service. And getting clean, how to get clean, we should know, right? We should know how to be clean, you know? But we may not know, so we have to get that knowledge, right? But that's not for my pleasure. Many people like to be clean for their own pleasure. We like to be clean for Krishna's pleasure and Prabhupada's pleasure, and so on and so on. If we fill our day, everything becomes connected with Krishna's service, then even our so-called mundane, our search for so-called mundane knowledge, it's no longer mundane, you know? But we have to make sure it's connected by the order of the spiritual master. So therefore we can, we dovetail. That was spoken yesterday. We dovetail. Say we have an immense interest in gardening. We'll see what Prabhupada said about it. Did Prabhupada want the devotees to make nice items for Krishna? And so on and so forth, right? And then we can get authorization or direct instruction from our Shiksha gurus and our managers, or our connection to Krishna's will and to Prabhupada. And they say, yeah, learn about it, go for it. Or at other times, there was one devotee, he would say, one devotee was saying that he asked Prabhupada, I'm giving you a massage. So I thought, I'll go down to the library and I'll get a book on how to give a massage, because I don't know. He said, no, you don't need to do that. You just chant Hare Krishna, and Krishna will help you figure out how to do your service if you want to do it better. So in that case, he said, anyone can give a massage. It's not a science. It's not a complex science, rather. Of course, there's various levels of intricacy, right? But for Prabhupada's need, or for the service that devotee was rendering, the spiritual master determined, there was no need to search any more knowledge in that compartment. So that's why it's so nice to have guides. Okay, sorry to take long. Thank you very much, devotees. Devotees can be dismissed, but there was one question, Bhaktavir. Is it okay? Right, they can. Yeah. But then they don't become mundane anymore. But it has to be connected with the order of the spiritual master. So if a particular devotee, he starts working to cultivate a lot of knowledge in a subject which he wasn't authorized to serve in, then he may get into the problem of getting that knowledge for his own pleasure, But if it's one's service, or one's been authorized, protected, then he is protected. And the same thing can go. He says, okay, ordinarily, if a devotee has to deal with these crazy materialists who know nothing about God, and I have to go and meet with them every day, right? But I don't have any protection spiritually. I don't have any authorization, right, to enter into that field. Then I can be affected greatly. That's why in the Vedic culture, one takes blessings from the brahmanas, from the sages, from the saints, from the guru. He says, ordinarily the warriors, they would not even start a battle before taking blessings from all the brahmanas and the directions and all the demigods, and then they will do what they would thinking to do. And this is the consciousness, we can get into it ourselves, is ultimately what do we want? We want to do what Krishna wants. So we think of a plan. Plan making is okay if it's for Krishna's service. But we want it if Krishna wants it. We want it if Krishna wants it. That's what the phrase Krishna willing. Krishna willing. And how do we know what Krishna wills? We might like to check Shastra, Guru, and the sadhus. That's how we know, right? We may have something, intuition from within, from Krishna, right? And we have a desire. We don't know if the desire is pure or if it's coming from him. But we want what Krishna wants. Therefore we say, Krishna willing. And how do we know what Krishna wants? We have to ask people who know what Krishna likes, right? And at the end of the day, the devotee, he accepts the spiritual master as a deity. This is very interesting. If Gaura could talk to you and tell you, Prabhu, or my dear devotee, please go and pick some flowers outside and bring them to my feet. We accept the spiritual master as a deity. You know, this is far out. This is really far out. It means that this is how Krishna likes to work. So it's up to us. If we have that consciousness, we develop that consciousness of implicit faith, and we know Krishna will guide the spiritual master very perfectly to guide me. And he's just waiting for me to surrender nicely to the spiritual master, you know, and take him like that. Whoa. So we have a great chance. We have a wonderful opportunity here. Okay, thank you for tolerating me, dear devotees. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All glories to the Sangha devotees.